Why do we need an organic strategy instead of an SEO strategy? With Carmen Dominguez. The In Search SEO Podcast is brought to you by Similarweb, helping you build better SEO strategies with digital intelligence, insights, and data. Hey, it's David. What's the difference between an organic strategy and an SEO strategy, and why do you need an organic strategy? That's what we're talking about today with a Spaniard who lives in the UK and has always worked in digital. She's talked at WP Engine events, Nottingham Digital Marketing Summit, and Brighton SEO. Loves looking into LLMs and how languages work, and is head of organic at Hallam. A warm welcome to the In Search SEO Podcast, Carmen Dominguez.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to discussing today our topic. It's actually one of the topics I don't think that many people talk about, and I think it's also going to become quite relevant. So thank you for asking me the question.
Well, thanks for coming on, and maybe many people will talk about it after hearing you talking about it. Well, you can find Carmen over at hallaminternet.com. So Carmen, what's the difference between an organic strategy and an SEO strategy?
So an SEO strategy will be the strategy that you do directly on your website, right? Anything that is making changes to on-sites, making changes to the long-form content, making changes to the technical sites, while organic strategy is looking beyond the website. Obviously, anything that you do beyond the website will have an impact in your brand, and it will have an impact in your website. So for example, digital PR is something that we should consider a part of an organic strategy, but there are quite a lot of other things that we need to consider as well. So being clear into how you cannot do an organic strategy without SEO, but SEO is smaller in terms of the reach.
So a link strategy is part of an organic strategy, not an SEO strategy.
Well, I mean, if you look at only links, then it is, I guess, SEO strategy because it will have an impact in your website. But really, links is only one part of digital PR, right? You can also get mentions. You get it for brand awareness. You get it for the brand to be known in other places. So if you look at it only from links, it's only SEO. If you look at beyond the reach, I think, it's organic.
And do you also consider other marketing channels, paid marketing channels that aren't part of organic?
So I look at not necessarily what you mean when I'm doing an organic strategy.
Yeah. I mean, I guess an SEO strategy is more technical. An organic strategy can be adding more creative elements and driving traffic towards the website, but then an increasing umbrella over that is the overarching marketing strategy encompassing paid as well. So do you also consider paid activities when trying to determine what your organic strategy should be?
Absolutely. And in fact, there are also people that when they're putting strategies, they start from the bottom to the top, right? So from SEO, organic, paid. Normally, when I do things or work in digital marketing strategies, I start from the top and then I go down to the bottom, right? So we look at, okay, this client needs better branding. It needs better down of the funnel strategy. How do we achieve that? Then we split it in paid and organic, and then we go down. So it's in the middle where I have the conversations with paid with, okay, so we need more brand awareness for this client, but organically we won't get there fast. So how can paid play a role in getting fast for brand? Then the plan is to turn it down when organic brand is going up. But definitely talking to paid is super important to decide what you're going to prioritize for your clients. Normally, when I do this strategy, I start analyzing, splitting between brand and non-brand. And then from brand and non-brand, I look at reach and experience, right? So how can you reach your clients through non-brand, and how can you improve the experience? So having those three different areas that you look at, it helps a lot to also split them by paid and not paid. Because at the end, you're following the same strategy, right? You're following brand, you're following reach, and you're following experience, only that in one you do it in slower and free, and another one you do faster and paid.
And what percentage of your budget do you allocate to brand versus non-brand?
That's a good question. It will always depend on the budget of the client and obviously the status. So if your client is new in the markets and they don't know a lot and the website is we just created with the basic stuff of technical SEO, you probably will invest more time in brand. And then further down the time, you start building more into technical issues when the website is growing, or you invest more in reach through non-brand, non-form contents. But if we are just launching the brand, it makes sense to invest more in brand. It will always depend on the context and the situation of the client. But considering that the internet is getting really crowded and there are more and more competition all the time, I always say to have brand on. And not from the paid perspective, it's classic of, oh, I have brand on, I have bidding on my brand. But when I talk about brand on, means engaging from a brand perspective, talking to your users, working with influencers, making sure that you are consistent and actually applying everything it related. It, from the Google perspective, is almost like a guide on how to be a good brand. And not only from the Google perspective, but also from the user perspective. So I always try to include it within a it guideline rather than a brand guideline.
Brilliant. Okay, yeah, you said yourself that the internet's getting very crowded, which means that obviously, even if you operate within a small niche, you've probably got lots of competitors, so you need to differentiate yourself. You mentioned EAT there as well. Is that the primary, the initial area that you go to when trying to position yourselves as an authoritative brand within your sector?
When I get new clients or when I start new strategies, I always use it as a base, because actually it is just beyond content. When everyone thinks of it, thinks of writing good content. But if you split it in the expertise, experience, trust, and authority, you can actually reach it to social media. You can reach it to technical SEO, right? With schema and having the right setup for the speed so the user trusts you. You can reach digital PR. So if you look at it from a wider perspective and not only through content, you can apply to everything you do in organic. So it is the core almost of everything we do at Sahalam, or I do with my clients as well. And then I just split it into all the different parts of organic.
So what's your process for incorporating EAT into your different pieces of content? Is it as simple as asking yourself the question, are all the elements of EAT in here that need to be in here?
So we start I'm going to start with we got a new client, right? So my team, we have different type of expertise. We have the SEO consultant that look more into the strategy. How can we increase keywords? Are we relevant? Do we have the right intent? Then we have a technical expert who knows about it. And then we have a content expert who focuses mainly on it. So we do 3 audits at the same time. And then we split it by it. So we have a checklist with everything that we think is it related. We also created our own ChatGPT built based on the it guidelines provided by Google. So we have a thorough process where we put our website there, it gets checked against it. Then we do manual check. Then we look into the intent of the users. Then we look into it from a technical perspective, and we collide everything together to then put a strategy. Our EAT guideline is really long because it goes even into experience. So we split it into context, brand, reach, experience, tech SEO, content SEO, CRO, or UX. So that is the first part that we look into. Then from there, we create a narrative, of course.
So you certainly mentioned many elements that you incorporate in a strategy. How often do you revisit a strategy?
We do normally, because it's heavy and you require quite a lot of time, we do normally 1 year strategy, and then we revisit every quarter and every 6 months to make sure that it's working. Obviously, SEO, we know that it takes time. Sometimes we are doing the right thing, but then it's not working just because Google is spammy or is getting too spammy and it's not working. But we're trying to always do the right thing and always give results to clients. So we do revisit very often, but we try to stick to it once we have done all the analysis.
And now you also talk about proving your expertise to Google Quality Raters. What are Google Quality Raters and why do you have to prove your expertise to them?
So this is an interesting topic that is going on right now. And Don wrote a very good article about this. about iterators. So Google iterators are employees by Google that actually go to the SERPs and check that you are complying as a brand with the guidelines. Obviously, Google has a limited amount of people checking the internet, and you won't be checking every single website. They will start with the priority of the your money, your life type of websites. So that is why it's really important to understand the context of your brand. And I said earlier, in our list, we have context. We look at are we your money, your life type of website, or in the scale, in which point do we land? And then from there, you take some things more seriously than others. So going back to the Google raters, these people are checking and they are tagging or giving a score to your website. There are too many websites, there are not a lot of people, and now with AI, there is the possibility that these people are slowly being replaced by AI. So that means that sometimes Google will take longer to catch up with you. But rest assured that there are people checking, and this is nothing new. They've been there like for 10 years or 15 years. It's only that it's gaining more relevance now because it is becoming really important for Google. I think it is the solution of Google to all these spammy SEOs spamming the internet, which is why I think everyone who does serious SEO or serious organic should look into considering it.
So what are the tools and the data sources that you use to assist with the formation of your organic search strategy?
Obviously, you start always with Google Search Console and GA, right? Because Google Search Console and GA kind of give you so much information. If you kind of read into data, it will tell you the pages that they perform the best, the intent, it will tell you how your users behave. But then that is only for the website, right? It's nothing beyond the website. When you want to go beyond the website, something that I use very often is Similarweb, because it does tell you an overall look at the organic performance. It tells you from social media, where is that your users are coming from, where your users are coming from beyond as well. So we start with analyzing. So the SEO consultants, we analyze all this information. Our content person will look into the persona. So this is the persona. Where do they spend time in the internet using these tools that inform the data? And then we put everything together in Looker Studio and try to figure it out. Obviously, I would be lying if I say I don't use ChatGPT. It makes everything way faster, particularly when you're putting so much data together. Frankly, it's been ages since I don't use the classic tools that we used to back in the day, because they're getting really expensive, and sometimes a lot of the information you can get from other sites. We use SE ranking too, but that's mostly for tracking keywords. But yeah, mostly Google Search Console and GA to try to create builds. I also use Browse AI. I just remember, because Browse AI allow us to scrap the internet and get trends. It's really good. So for example, for Reddit, we try to scrap already to try to find the forums that our clients should be in. And we did it very easily with the Browse AI. So that's another one that we use.
That's superb. Okay, I don't think I've come across that tool before, and that doesn't happen that often. So I always appreciate discovering new tools and researching into them a little bit there as well. One thing that I also like about your mention of organic and calling it organic strategy is that you can also think of other opportunities to drive traffic. And Google's not the only game in town, of course. You can drive traffic from perhaps YouTube, perhaps podcasting, perhaps other social networks. What are your one or two favorite sources of driving traffic outside of Google at the moment?
It will always depend on clients and your objectives, right? So a few things that we need to consider. Obviously, Google is still the best source of traffic for any website. I think recently I think Raskin did an analysis of the amount of traffic coming from different platforms, and 60% of that traffic, or 63%, was still coming from Google. So it's important that we consider Google. But now, Google, obviously, with all the updates, all the different changes in the SERPs, or the carousels, or the paid media showing everywhere, is becoming so difficult to actually attract the right click-through rates or the right clicks to your site, even if you're ranking position 1. It's becoming super difficult. So understanding within Google, you can understand the rest of the filters. So you can, if you are an e-commerce, you can look into shopping and products. If you are providing other type of information, you can go to the new forum filter. But then from there, if my user is an e-commerce, and that is some of the testing that we have done recently, it will be silly not to consider going to Pinterest or going to TikTok or going to Instagram. Now, I know everyone is always talking about TikTok, and I have a strong feelings about TikTok in terms of, does it provide enough conversions or enough ROI for you investing on it? If for sure, it does include awareness. So ruling it out is silly. But for me, the ones that work the best in terms of ROI, so in terms of conversions, is always Pinterest and Instagram from an e-commerce perspective. One of the tests that we did recently is that this client that I have, product pages were underperforming for whatever reason. And we did an influencer campaign in Instagram. It was really successful. We got a lot of organic clicks into our product pages, which Google understood that people were interested in the products, and other products, without making that many changes into the websites, they are performing better. Why? Because we got all the clicks into the products coming from Instagram. And that meant that Google was thinking users actually like these products because of the clicks. So we know that Google uses clicks as a way to understanding the rankings. So Instagram and Pinterest, which another similar client we drove very good results for the blog, they do work, and they do work for your SEO. It's just you need to be smart enough to track it.
Yeah, it's great advice there. I love your thoughts on attracting clicks as well, because if you attract the right clicks, the clicks that spend time on your website, then it sends a message to search engines. I'm not even necessarily talking about Google. I could be talking about YouTube here as well, that piece of content is worthwhile considering, and it's more likely to rank it long term if it sees that traction over the initial period.
Well, I mean, when the products went viral, there was a reason, and people actually were coming from Instagram to buy. So it's not like they were coming just because we did this crazy digital PR campaign that was super funny, but not related to the client. They were coming to the products and they bought from the products. So obviously, it's sending a good signal to Google. I mean, also you mentioned YouTube. YouTube is one that I don't exploit as much as I should or I could, I think. It's because creating videos tend to take time, and creating videos at work, you need to have quality, and quality in videos is expensive. So many times clients, when you provide them with the idea of let's create videos for brand awareness and not having a direct ROI unless you have a crazy budget, clients tend to say no. But considering that last year, one of Google's updates on video was to promote YouTube videos over all the type of videos, I will say if you have the budget, absolutely go into YouTube.
Let's finish off with
the Pareto pickle.
So Pareto says that you can get 80% of your results from 20% of your efforts. What's one SEO activity you would recommend that provides incredible results for modest levels of effort?
I always say go to schema. Schema is like a gold mine. I don't understand why people don't use it that often. Putting the right schema into the right pages and implement it in the right way, for me, it has given me very good results. So understand the schema, put the schemas everywhere over your sites, and just see the rankings go up.
I've been your host, David Bain. You can find Carmen Dominguez over at halleminternet.com. Carmen, thanks so much for being on the In Search SEO podcast.
Thank you. It was really nice.
And thank you for listening. Check out all the previous episodes and sign up for a free trial of the Similarweb platform over at Similarweb.com.